it's Liza Civic. And before we begin, I want to remind you that show notes and links mentioned in this episode can be found in my Facebook and LinkedIn groups called Marketing Myths and Magic. Obviously, it's free to join, and group members get bonus freebies, live Q&As with special guests, events, and I'll be there to answer questions and chat with you. Head over to Facebook, LinkedIn, or there's a link at lizacivicmarketing.com and be a part of the conversation. Okay, let's jump in. Hello, magicians. Welcome back to Marketing Myths and Magic podcast. This is Liza Civic, your hostess with the mostess or something. So good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I have with you here today Nichole Howell, who has been a guest with us before, talking about branding and package design. And she is the owner of Partner with a Spark, which does everything from design to website builds to, she's just a creative chick, man. And I just love her. She's also local to me, so I get to see her all the time, which is awesome. But you need to know her too. So Nichole, welcome.
Good afternoon. Thank you for having me and for that awesome intro. It's fun being creative and being able to help with lots of things.
Yeah, we are partners in a lot of things. So she is my partner with a spark, and
Aww.
Light my fire, baby. No, that would be inappropriate. Let's not say that. I know her. It's okay. I know her significant other too. So I'll just laugh at that, I hope. All right. So anyway, so tell us like what you're doing now. And today I know we're going to talk about, upgrading your website and making sure your website is the right place and the best marketing for you. And I'll say first off, and I beat this horse over and over and over again, but this horse needs to be beaten metaphorically. I know. Oh, don't come at me. I don't beat animals. Okay. So this metaphorical horse is that I hear all the time from clients, and I'll bet Nichole starts nodding. I just want to market before I upgrade my website. How many times do you hear that, right, Nichole? So
all the time.
That's like the go-to. And that's why you hire an expert, because we know your website is your marketing. Yes, it's your store, but it's your marketing. It's your storefront. And, give us your take on that. Give us, how you see that.
So I'm going to start with something called Waymish. Why are you making it so hard for me to give you my money? Okay.
Oh my Lord, yes. Please let me give you my money.
Exactly. So if you put the cart before the horse and you do all this marketing, and yet your website is not set up to make it easy for your customer to give you money. Now, this works for your website. This works for your app. This works for your store. Like whatever it is, customer facing, don't make it hard to get their money, especially if you've done all of this marketing. They know they want to make a purchase from you, and yet your cart doesn't work, or your UI is not simple. Or a whole nother part of this would be that, say you're selling the subscription. So they've already bought the subscription, and yet every time they get to your website, even though they've logged in, it says buy this subscription.
Right. Watch your pop-ups, watch your suggestions, always put a login somewhere. Right,
because otherwise you've sold yourself in. You're great, they know you're great, and now you are reminding them over and over and over again that you're not great at the details.
Oh, you just hit me in the heart. I am the choir and you are preaching. My thing is always, and if you've followed me at all on anything, or seen me locally, or seen an article I've written, I talk about this a lot. If you are putting out marketing that makes you look like Saks Fifth Avenue, and that you are going to be the best customer service, and you're going to be personalized, and you're going to be right there, and they come to your store and it's liquidated discount look, whether you are or not, and they can't find Brad, who's wandering around in the back talking to his girlfriend by text on his phone because no one wants to help you. And so what do? You walk out and you go pay $200 more next door for the same product. And why? Because you couldn't give them your money and you didn't think they cared about you. It's the same thing with a website storefront.
And that one negative experience from not being able to get a hold of the guy in the back in a physical store, or not being able to finish your transaction and find the cart on a website, 97% of customers will stop being your customer because you made it hard.
Right. And apologies to everyone named Brad. We're not trying to call you out.
Exactly. So and not only will 97% of customers, will you lose them, but then they will go and tell 10 people that was frustrating. So let me give an example of not a store setting. I am personally not in love with Dropbox. I think that Dropbox is difficult to use. And because of that, every time a client comes to me and says, hey, I want to share documents with you via Dropbox, I go, dope. Here's my Google Drive link. Let me come to you with a flash drive. And they're like, wait, why are you doing that? And then I can name multiple reasons of why Dropbox, the last time I used it, bothered me. Okay. Now, I don't know if they've updated from now and they've lost me. I don't care. Which
right.
is,
if it was that bad, you're going to have to court me big time. Under new management is a sign for a reason on new businesses, right? Under new management says, don't worry, it's not the guy or girl who was here before that didn't care. Please come shop with us now. I don't think it works. If you've ever used it and it works, let me know. But under new management is like the big sign that tells you when you drive by, they sucked and now they don't.
Exactly.
So you don't want to have to come back with, I'm under new management, even if it's you and you're saying, I'm doing better. You don't want to have to do that, right? And get back those customers, re-engage those customers you've lost. It's a bad thing. And it's a tough thing. It's tough, right? To re-engage those customers.
It is. And so part of what I was doing for a client earlier this or late last year was trying to look at what had been done to analyze why we were losing customers, and then communicate to that client why they were losing customers. Well, this client wasn't ready to hear that. They were not happy with that because we just spent all of this time building up customers. And then it was like, why are we losing them? So needless to say, I did the analysis. I communicated the analysis. I'm no longer working with that client because they didn't want to hear that analysis. So
they weren't ready. They weren't ready is the key word, right?
Exactly.
They weren't ready. And they probably won't come back to you when they are ready because it's embarrassing. We have all put our foot in our mouth with the vendor. So I'm not calling anybody out. Hello, me too. But it's not something they're going to come back to you later and say, I was wrong. But they're going to come back to somebody else and say, oof, I probably should have listened. Yeah.
Right. And to be fair, I'm all right with that. I don't necessarily need them to come back, because as frustrating as it was for them, it was frustrating for me too. And it's like, okay, so now I have this further expertise. Now I've learned from this place, it can use that as a anecdote going forward. So in looking for new clients, because that's what you do when that happens, I was approached by a client who wants me to do exactly that, to assess, and only that. And so they are throwing every new app, every new website that they have, and they are saying, okay, you have become good at this. Give me your analysis. And this particular client, because this is what they focus on, has great systems to communicate the issue. hey, I found this over here. Hey, I found this over here. And so that way then they can communicate with their developer. They can communicate with their marketing team. They can communicate across the field and say, okay, I see this issue that you've pointed out, but is it an issue? Was this actually the expectation that we wanted to have? Is this actually what we're looking for? Because we're drilling down to, if you've created your website, your app, your customer facing anything to pull in a 6-year-old, and yet you've programmed everything to appeal to a high-end developer, you're losing your client, and vice versa. So one of the conversations that I had recently is I was like, look, like with the thing that tells you to keep buying the app, you have just convinced this high-end developer that they need this software, this app, this product that you're selling. And yet you're asking them to purchase it again over and over and over again, even though they've gone through a single sign-on. They're in your back end, their back end, they're in this part, and you're asking them to do it again. And so you're making this person think that they didn't actually follow through, when in reality, when they go and check, because they're a high-end developer, they've already purchased it 4 times. And now they're getting errors saying you can't purchase it again. So it's that sort of a thing. So this new client, I have found this issue, reported this issue, and they say, okay, go find more. And so they're excited about it, right? And then every now and again, I have found an issue, and they're like, oh no, that's already in production. That's not the issue we wanted you to find. This is potentially a critical issue. So we appreciate you, but this also means that the system of checking to see if something works failed before they went to production.
Always good to have several sets of eyes on something, expert eyes. It really is.
Right. So whereas I found something they didn't want me to find, where I found something that was critical and something somebody missed otherwise, they still have the wherewithal to say, ooh, not what we were looking for, but all right, we'll fix it.
Right. Well, that's what we hired you. We thought that you wouldn't find anything like this, but you're good enough and honest enough to find it. And yeah, it's never fun when that happens for either side, but it happens. And it's better to know before it goes live, even if you have to fix it with a patch later. You know, it's always better to know. So Windows 11.
Exactly. And one of the issues I found ended up being so terminal that they decided to no longer support a piece of hardware because they didn't think that it was necessary and that it wouldn't recuperate funds for them to fix the software issue for the hardware. So they're like, you know what, phasing it out. That hardware is no longer part of our jam.
Right. And I think there's a lot of reasons that happens, and you can agree, disagree, or add to this, because I think that you've probably seen a lot of these too. If you're doing something in-house and you've got somebody who's kind of learning on their own, or you're trying to DIY your own business, you know, it's one thing for a corporation to go, okay, we've got a bunch of teams and we're going to give you some money to come in and double check and find things. We don't want to take our resources away. Most of my audit customers, who often become my long-term clients, most of my audit customers just don't want to take the time away in their staff to go find out if there's broken links and how their SEO is working and all that. Because yes, they could run it, but I can give you suggestions, recommendations, consult you on how to do it, and save you hours of in-house labor that can be applied elsewhere, just like you can.
Right, because you're fresh eyed.
Fresh eyes, and we know to look for things that your in-house people don't, because they've been learning by the seat of their pants, which is how I learned. But that was 25 years ago. And, you know, that's 25 years later. I got a lot of, you know, I'm following this to an inappropriate place about worn out pants, but you know what I mean? So why do they let me have a, oh, that's my job. That's right. Horses. Oh God, back to the horses. Oh, man, I got to work on my examples. All right. So please